Alright everyone, we're back. Welcome to the wheel. Trying every archetype list, over 398 archetypes, and even growing. I'm not getting there yet though. Some are good, some are bad. Red means bad, green means good, blue means I don't really know about the deck, but hopefully we can get something good. The last video, hopefully coming up soon, was something pretty fun. If you haven't checked it out, check it out already. And let's see what the wheel blesses and or curses us with this time. Oh man. I'm tired of the plant decks, please! Please! I'm tired of the plant deck, stop this! Let me live! Get me out of this tri-type! Stop with the plants, insect rept, get me out of here! I don't want to be bred! Oh man. Sunvine, eh? Wait, no! I don't want to play plants! I don't want to play plants anymore! Please! Ah! Okay, wish me luck. Well, hello, I've returned. Yes, this deck is, I mean, I don't remember seeing anybody ever play the deck without an engine. Well, with engine. I mean, not as an engine. Like, for example, you play the Sun Sea Genius Loci strategy, and then your goal is to end on the Link 4 monster. I don't think anyone's ever done that. But I'd like to note that I'm not playing on Dueling Nexus today, but I'd like to show that I made 3 to 4 different iterations of this deck because I thought there was something cool I could do until I figured out that this deck is, I don't think anyone has ever played the original deck with the original boss monster. It's honestly a little bit outdated, but let me get into the different type of builds I did before I came with my final build and stuff. First things first, I'm going to say that this archetype excels at when they take damage, they get to summon Sunvine monsters from the extra deck. So there is an archetype that, I mean, surprisingly, there is very little cards that inflict damage to you. You can pay life points, but cards that inflict damage to you are pretty hard to come by. So my first idea was, honestly, Valmonica. Valmonica inflicts damage to you, so I thought that was a pretty cool idea, and it triggers your Sunvines, until I realized I had to break it down in my head about what this deck does and what it actually ends on. Because it turns out, unless you're shooting for Link material, taking damage all the time isn't really that important. And I found out that the Valmonica monsters, though pretty much giving you the ability to take damage so your SUNAVALONs can trigger their effects to summon Sunvine monsters, the effect to special summon a monster from the extra, like a Link 1, isn't really that impactful. And then Valmonica also doesn't really link very well with the Sunvine monsters, or as well as I want them to, so unfortunately I had to scrap that idea. Next up, wait, let me help. Next up, what I decided was, wait a minute, if I do the Aroma engine, I can gain life points, and then if I end up on a combo that doesn't pull it off pretty much, or my opponent ashes me in a good spot, basically what I was thinking about was using the Aroma Seraphie Jasmine. Then after using that Jasmine, I can link it off into the Lilith and then make a boss monster that can be protected if my life points are higher, which I thought was a pretty good idea. And then also makes it so Jasmine still gives you access to your boss monster, even if you don't have the ability to. If you get interrupted, you can still pull it off with the Jasmine. Whereas with normal Loci, if they mess with your Loci and you don't have the thing in your hand, then you're kind of boned. Now, unfortunately, it still didn't work. I had a cool gimmick where I was like, Propagandrake, if you E-Telly it, it's just a free body, it becomes a plant monster, so that's free extension. And then also, it prevents your opponents from targeting your monsters that this card has the, whole application on, with card effects or monster effects of the same type. So like, this card blanket makes everybody's type on the field become the type it chooses, right? So then after that, if they can't target my monster with that, they just can't target my monster. It just makes it so they can't target Also, changing types is surprisingly pretty good. So it would prevent their Fiendsmiths from linking into Fiendsmith. It would prevent the U-Bells from doing stuff because they're all plants. It was a pretty cool idea until it didn't work. I'm sorry. I had issues. But I had one consistent thing throughout. So the last idea that I had was, well, all of the Genius, all of the Sunseed, Sunvine, Sunavalon monsters are all Earth. So you could technically run Dominus Impulse in this deck. And I thought that was a pretty cool idea. And you know what else you could do? You could, to extend your combo more, just in case you end up on a board that isn't strong enough or it got interrupted, what you could do is use one Vernal Sylph and a discard in your hand to summon back one of your materials that you had. If you used, or well, if you pretty much used up one of your Sunavalon monsters, bring it back with a Vernal Sylph. Then they still have their effects, and I think that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, Vernal Sylph, despite being an Earth-centric, Earth support deck, it still doesn't mesh very well with the strategy of the Genius Loci. So I had all these issues, and it's an issue. I had many issues playing this deck. But with all that out of the way, here's the build I ended up on. Basically, what I have to say is that there are so many issues I have with the deck in baseline. We're talking baseline by itself. We are not talking, oh, but Nost, you can end on Rika, Snowdrop Rika Queen. You remember that last video? You can end on the same board. You can end on Ragnarika. You can end on Rika Snowdrop Queen. You can end on insert plant generic soup slop. And technically I could. And then I could be justified in that, okay, I played the deck, it works, but then you find out I'm running the Genius Loci engine and not the Genius Loci deck. Right. We're here to summon the Link 4, and we're here to be cool about it. We're not here to, unfortunately, make plant soup. I'm not doing plant soup again. But there are pros and cons. But before I do any of that, I do have to note, what is Sunvine? Now, when I spun it on the wheel, turns out, after I finish with the wheel and I start looking up how the deck works, turns out the Sunvine is an archetype blended with these two, technically the archetype is Sunseed, Genius Loci. It's more along the lines of how Sacred Beast and how basically Riviel, Hamon, and all those are all part of the same archetype, but it's still Sacred Beast. Like, I wouldn't create a Riviel Lord of Phantasms deck. I'd create a Sacred Beast deck. This is kind of the same. They all mention each other, but it's not like branded lore mention each other. This is integral to the game plan mention each other. So that's why I'm including, that's why the deck as the title is shown, that's why the deck as the title shown is just straight up Sunvine, Sunavalon, Loci. It's basically Sunavalon. Now, what is Sunvine, Sunavalon, and Sunseed? These are all a series of Earth plant monsters that go up into Earth plant link monsters that trigger their effects when they take damage from either effect damage or battle damage. And they all have unique effects. The Sunavalons have, well, you know, let me just get into it. We'll start it off with the Seed. The Seed! Alright, we'll start off with the Seed. This is the baseline here. So, we'll start off with Sunseed Genius Loci, which is a level 1 Earth plant monster. It's a normal monster too. The effect, or its flavor text is, the seed can only be harvested from the sacred tree once every 1,000 years, and will become the guardian spirit of its land after 1,000 more. That goes hard, not even going to, it's kind of cool, right? What's the importance of this? The whole deck revolves around this card somewhat, kinda. Next up, we have Sunseed Twin, which basically says if it is normal or special summoned, while you control a Sunavalon Link monster, that's the extra decks, you know, some of them, then guess what? You get to target a level 4 lore plant normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Pretty cool effect. Now, it has another effect too, that honestly I don't really think I use much, but maybe used, I'm not sure. I think the issue is because 2 of the cards got limited. That's the reason why I can't use this effect that well. So you can banish this card in your graveyard and 1 link monster you control. Ooh, steep condition, eh? If you have 2 or more plant link monsters with the same name as each other in your graveyard, special summon one of them. And you can only use each effect of Sunseed Twin once per turn. Now technically, you would be summoning this after you make a SUNAVALON link monster. And I guess I can get into the SUNAVALON link monster that ties the whole deck together. That is limited. If I show this under TCG rules, this is how it looks. Maybe I should do that. I'll do that because though I'm playing against OCG players and everything, because MD Pro 3 or MD3 Pro plays with OCG because there's not enough TCG players coming in, I can still show off that I'm playing a TCG deck versus OCG players, but you can still have a very interesting game and you can still understand how the deck works. So I don't really find that as much of a hindrance. Yes, there are games that I get max seed, but then I could just say, oh, it's like Masterduel. Yeah? So the main heart of this deck is SUNAVALON Dryas, which is a Link 1, the Link 1 that searches the... I'm joking. It only requires 1 level 4 lower plant monster. Pretty cool. Now, if this card is Link summoned in the extra monster zone using Sunseed Genius Loci as material, you can add 1 Sunvine spell trap from your deck to your hand. That's pretty cool, right? So it requires the normal monster if you want to get that super juicy effect to just add a Sunvine spell trap from your deck to your hand. Then also, this card cannot be targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking directly. That's the gimmick with the SUNAVALON monsters, where basically you can beat into like direct life points, right? You can just go straight into your life points directly. Don't beat into the Dryas here, just attack my life points directly. Because if you do, once per turn, if you take battle or effect damage, you can gain that much life points, and if you do, special summon 1 Sunvine monster from your extra deck. That's pretty cool, is it not? So let's imagine you attack my life points directly because you can't target my link monster for attack. I can then activate the effect to gain that many life points that I took as damage, and then special summon a Sunvine monster from the extra deck. And that's how the coalition starts. Dryas, basically, it's a searcher, it's kind of protection, it's extension, and there's so much cool stuff it can do. Now, let me get back to the normal monsters because we got one more, I think. Well, a couple more. We have Sunseed Shadow, which is a level 1. Oh, man. Okay. I think I have to preface this. When I build these decks for TEA, it is more or less my goal to show off most, if not all, the cards in the archetype. Talk about which cards you definitely should or should not be running. Talk about cards that I'm like, yes, that is a card you want in your deck, or this card's really interesting and it doesn't see much play, but I'm glad I'm playing it. Unfortunately, with this archetype, there are cards that I humanly cannot play because they're that bad. I'm so sorry. You can't even give them the benefit of the doubt. I can't even run a couple of games with them. And they're just so bad. Sorry. Sunseed Shadow, level 1 normal monster. If you control plant normal monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Well, that's pretty cool, it's extension. Now, it has another effect that I don't know how often I can trigger it, due to the fact that, as I said before, some of the good cards within this deck were limited, for very degenerate reasons. Now, you can banish this card from your graveyard, right? Target 1 linked, like co-linked, link 2 or lower SUNAVALON or Sunvine monster, right? Then special summon 1 monster with the same name from your extra deck, but negate its effects. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, except plant monsters. Oh, from the extra deck. Thank you. Wait, oh shoot, this just locks you into plants for the rest of the turn. I did not know that. I thought it was just extra deck. Okay. So, to explain what this thing does, is that if my Dryas, right, if I take effect damage, I get to add a Sunvine spell trap, then I get to summon a Sunvine Link monster from my extra deck. And then it'll be pointing towards the Dryas. Then if I somehow get Sunseed Shadow in the graveyard, I can banish it from the graveyard, target a SUNAVALON or Sunvine monster that is linked 2 or lower, and then I can special summon a SUNAVALON or Sunvine monster with the same name, but its effects are negated and I'm locked into plants. So this puts more material on the field is basically what it's trying to say. That's not bad, but getting it in the graveyard's not easy either, and there are preferably better cards you would be summoning with the next card I'm showing. We have Sunvine Sowing, normal spell card, one of the Sunvine spell traps, searchable off Dryas. Special summon one Sunseed monster from your deck, and if you do, take 1000 damage. Bingo bango bongo, you just activated Dryas, good job pal. And then if you control no SUNAVALON Link monster, and then if you control no SUNAVALON Link monsters, you can only special summon the normal monster Sunseed Genius Loci. For the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, you can have special summon monsters from the extra deck except plant monsters. Womp womp. If a plant link monster you control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. Very sneaky, very branded opening-esque. I do like that. The banish effect is so you would miss it. I missed it on certain occasions, but it's really important because your SUNAVALON monsters will trigger their effects when they take damage, right? Either by battle or effect. Sunvine Sowing preventing them from leaving the field is very important, so that their effect can trigger. So to sum it all up with the small little bits of cards we have right here, Sunseed Genius Loci is normal monster you want on the field to summon SUNAVALON Dryas. Dryas, by the way, it says once per turn, but it's a soft once per turn, so if you can find a way to summon another copy of it, using Genius Loci, you were able to search another Sunvine spell trap. So that's pretty cool. It's a soft once per turn, which is all nice and dandy. It's limited to one though, so that's quite unfortunate. Next up, so when your Dryas is link summon using a Sunseed Genius Loci, you are able to add Sunvine Sowing. That's how the normal combo goes. Your Sunvine Sowing then special summons a Sunseed Twin from your deck. Now, let me tell you something about Sunvine Sowing. It special summons a Sunseed monster from your deck. You may look at this baseline and say, what's the problem with that? Well, it doesn't summon from deck or hand. And if you burn your normal summon, this card won't be summoning really your Sunseed Twin if your Sunseed Twin is in your hand. So that's quite unfortunate. Basically, Sunseed Twin being in the hand is kind of a brick, dare they say. And you're forced to summon, I don't know, Shadow. But if you can summon Sunseed Twin, then you won't be doing nearly as many cool plays and link climbing. So it's really important that your Sunseed Twin's in your deck. Alright, now that I got it out of the way, let's talk about a couple of this. Let me finish off the Sunseed list here. Let's finish off the Sunseed. That's it. Let's talk about the Sunvine. Actually, no, let's talk about the SUNAVALON here. Alright, let's talk about the SUNAVALON monsters here. There's quite a few, but they all have very important effects. You know, let's start off with the SUNAVALON. We talked about Dryas, but did you know this is a tree that grows? So, as it grows, the link climb, it's basically link climbing, that's what's happening. We have SUNAVALON Dryades, which requires 2 plant monsters, including a SUNAVALON link monster. You see it's growing, kinda? You're link climbing. This card cannot be targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. All of these SUNAVALONs will technically have this effect, I do believe, except one. Alright. Now, this card has the effect of Dryas, where if you take battle or fed damage, you can gain that many life points, and if you do special summon a Sunvine monster from your extra deck. But guess what? Since it's a link 2, you get to do this card twice per turn. Isn't that good? You can do it twice per turn. Dryas can only do it once. Dryades can do it twice. So guess what would happen if you link summon into the link 3 SUNAVALON Dryanome? It requires 2 plant monsters. That's pretty cool. It has the same effect where can't be targeted but you can attack directly. Guess what? 3 times per turn if you take battle or effect damage, you can gain that many and summon a Sunvine from your extra deck. But it also has one more effect, where once per turn, when a monster this card points to is targeted for an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, move that monster you control to another of your main monster zones. So, the Link 3 has the same effects as the Link 2, almost, but the extra effect is that it can negate attack. It's kind of useful if you want to link climb, right? Mainly because when you summon a Sunvine monster that's pointing towards it, if I take damage 3 times with already one guy on the field, I can negate the first one to move my Sunvine over so that if I take damage 3 more times, I can just summon 3 more Sunvines. Obviously that's not happening, but it's still cool to know that. Next up, we have SUNAVALON Melias. This card's actually really good. I like this card because it makes the deck almost work. It's a link 3 as well. Wait, what? Requires 2+ plant monsters, including a link monster. That effect, the conditions are going to start hurting all of a sudden, and I'll explain that later, if possible. So, if this card is link summon, you can spell summon a Sunseed Genius Loci from your graveyard. Wow, that's pretty convenient. I really like that. That's cool. Oh, this card cannot be targeted for attacks. Pretty much the same effect there. We're going to skip that. We're going to call it the SUNAVALON text. Next up, we have once per turn, you can target one Sunvine Link monster you control that this card points to. It can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of SUNAVALON Link monsters you currently control. This card recurs your Genius Loci, and then also this card can enable an OTK potentially by granting your SUNAVALON monster or your Sunvine Link monster that points to it additional attacks. I know I haven't gone into what the Sunvines are, but it'll be quite important when I get into it. So that's honestly quite cool. Jeez, I'm already like 20 minutes in. I knew this deck was hard to explain. Alright, we're almost done with the SUNAVALONs. We have SUNAVALON Daphne. I forgot about this one. This is a link 2. It requires 2 plant monsters. Has a SUNAVALON text. Also, you can tribute 1 monster, then target 2 plant link monsters in your graveyard, except itself, return them to the extra deck. So, a little bit of recursion, a little bit of recycling, that's what you're looking for, especially when you're only stuck with 1 Dryas. You kind of need to recycle it to continue, just to keep going. So this card, tribute to monster, recycles your link monsters. Not bad. It's meh. But let's go on into the big boss monster here, SUNAVALON Drytron. There you go. He's SUNAVALON Drytron now. Alright, SUNAVALON Drytron requires 2+ link monsters. Here's the issue. Do you remember how the link 3 Melias can summon a Sunseed Genius Loci from the graveyard? And then a link 3 plus a level 1 plus 1 monster should equal level link 4, right? Except SUNAVALON Drytron requires 2+ link monsters. Oh man, and I guess I'll talk about it. Melias's link arrows are so bad. They're good, but they're bad. They're good to help your Sunvines get OTKs. They're bad if you want this card plus your Genius Loci to go into SUNAVALON Drytron. Oh me, oh my. So basically, SUNAVALON Drytron, what does it do? It's a link 4 with 0 attack. That seems kind of bad, doesn't it? Well, it is, but it isn't. Because of this card's link summon, you can add 1 SUNAVALON spell trap from your deck to your hand. That's pretty cool, right? But I didn't even talk about what are the SUNAVALON spell traps. That sounds like crazy, doesn't it? A link 4 that searches a spell trap? It must be quite important. I can't wait to talk about that. So, this card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and it has the SUNAVALON text. So, this card should be kind of sticky, right? It should stick to the field. Can't be destroyed, and you can't really beat over it. I mean, you can beat through it, like past it, but you can't beat it up, and you can't be destroyed by card effects. It's pretty cool. Now, here's one of its cool effects. Once per turn, you contribute 1 link monster this card points to. Destroy any number of cards your opponent controls up to that monster's link rating. This card could destroy a lot. Also, non-targeting destruction. So this card as a boss monster is pretty cool. Like, your ability to tribute a link monster to non-targeting destroy is really cool. The fact that the card's quite sticky and can't be destroyed by card effects is pretty cool. You know what's missing though? For link 4, it is missing one of the most important SUNAVALON texts on Earth. It's missing the part where it says if you take damage, right? If you take damage by effect or by battle, summon a Sunvine monster from your extra deck. It's missing that effect. It is literally missing that effect, and that is one of the most awful things I've ever seen on a card. Your whole thing builds it up, and then you're just missing the Sunvine. I am not a fan of that at all. It completely warped my idea of how to play the deck. It warped it completely because I did not know how to play the deck because that was an issue. Oh man. Alright, now, before I start complaining, before I even get to the, what does this deck do? I guess I'll talk about, what is a SUNAVALON spell trap? There must be a lot of them. There's one, and it's a trap. Golly. Alright, SUNAVALON Bloom, a continuous trap card. I'll be honest, this card's not bad, but I don't like what's happening right now with this deck. And you can see why I had to build 4 iterations that all still failed. Okay, it's a continuous trap card with the effect where when this card is activated, if you control a Link 4 or higher plant monster, Irmistil, I'm joking, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. It's not skill drain, unfortunately. Even if it was skill drain, it still wouldn't be good, but if it was skill drain, I'd be happier. But it's not skill drain. This card blanket negates all of your opponent's monsters that they currently control if I control a Link 4 or higher plant monster. Basically, that's why good old SUNAVALON Drytron searches the SUNAVALON Bloom so that it can blanket negate cards. Pretty cool, but what else does it have? So it also has an effect that during damage calculation, if your plant link monster battles, you can activate this effect. It gains attack equal to the combined attack of monsters it currently points to until the end of this turn. That is quite interesting, is it not? That's quite interesting. With SUNAVALON Drytron having 4 link arrows, and if it points to 4 monsters with 3000 attack, that is a pretty beefy individual. Pretty beefy. Now, what else is that? If these effects remain even if this card leaves the field, I think that's pretty cool as well. You try to do my little attack boost, you try to get rid of it, too bad, it still goes through. You can only activate 1 SUNAVALON Bloom per turn. My opinion on this card is quite simple. It's good, but it's bad. Oh man, let's continue. Now, we talked about the SUNAVALONs, we talked about the Drytron, we talked about the Sunseed. What about the Sunvine? Dryas summons a Sunvine monster. Your Dryady summons a Sunvine monster. Your Dryanome, we're talking about Sunvine. Where's the Sunvine? Here we are. We have Sunvine Healer. It's limited to 1. You can tell how upset I was when I found out. It requires a plant normal monster. The arrow points upwards. Now, if a SUNAVALON Link monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, destroy this card. Now, all of the Sunvine Link monsters have this effect, so we're going to call it the Sunvine text. Which means no silly business, no going blink out to tag out your Dryades to summon back your Loci to summon back your Dryas again. That would be cool. I did try that until my Sunvine Healer got sent to the graveyard, unfortunately. So, all right, Sunvine. If this card special summon, you can target 1 SUNAVALON Link monster on the field, gain life points equal to its Link rating times 300. So, if it targets a Link 1 like Dryas most of the time, you gain 300 life points. That's pretty cool, especially since your Sunvine Sowing unfortunately inflicts 1000 damage to you. And let's say, how many life points can I gain? Should I aroma this? No, no, and no. Because even if you target a Link 4, you're only gaining like 1200. That's not really much. I thought it'd be Link rating times 1000. That's what I want. I want to gain 4000 life points when I trigger this on my Drytron. Now, when your plant link monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can gain 600 life points. Isn't that sweet? I know it's a healer, I know it's Sunvine Healer, but I wish it would inflict damage to me when I do that. I wish the effect was when your plant link inflicts damage to your opponent, inflict damage to you as well. So I can trigger my SUNAVALONs. That would have been real nice. Because you can do stuff with this deck. It's just not that good. Next up, we have Sunvine Gardener. Unfortunately, this card's not as good either, but it's a Link 1. The Sunvines are Link 1s, I think, except like 1 or 2. I can't remember. So, Sunvine Gardener, a plant normal monster is what it requires. Pretty cool. if a SUNAVALON, aka Sunvine text. Now here's its effect, being a guard. When an attack is declared involving this card, link to a SUNAVALON link monster and an opponent's monster. You can activate this effect. The damage you take from that battle is halved. Okay, what's this card say? Like, when an attack is declared involving this card linked to a SUNAVALON link monster and an opponent's monster? What is that effect? When an attack is declared involving this card linked to a SUNAVALON link monster and an opponent's monster. Bro, what the? I think I never read this card in that regard. What is that effect? Is it saying that? How does that work? Link to a SUNAVALON link monster and an opponent's monster. How do you link yourself to two? How do you pull that off? Are you telling me Gardner has to be in the EMZ pointing to a monster, and then beneath it has to be like a Melias or something? Dude, what type of effect did... And then you only take half battle damage. Also, when this card... Okay, here's the other effect. When this card is destroyed by battle in the battle phase after damage step. That's not bad. You take one attack, summon a Sunvine. Oh no, it says that this card is destroyed by battle. But if you have like a SUNAVALON monster and you take the damage, summon a Sunvine in the battle phase, call it quits, just wash your hands with that one. But that other effect is absolutely criminal. I've never read an effect like that in my life. Dude, what is that effect? I'm gonna have to like try out and see like, what do they mean by that? Oh man, I'm yapping. Okay. Is that all the Sunvines? I think that is. Let's see. Oh yeah, that seemed to be all the Sunvines. Okay, on to the main deck Sunvine. Yeah, I didn't miss it, don't worry. It's a level 1 plant with 0/0. Now, it has when your opponent activates a card effect that targets a plant monster or monsters you control that was special summoned from the extra deck. Quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate that effect. That's pretty cool. Until I talk about the issues with it. You can only use this effect once per turn. And then, let's imagine it's on the field somehow. With, I don't know, sowing. Your opponent can now target SUNAVALON or Sunvine spell traps you control with card effects. So it prevents your opponent from targeting your trap card and your really not good other cards. So this card is a negate. You're like, but no, this is a negate. It's a negate if it's special summoned from the you special summon it from the hand to negate. Now, you may have been like zoning out when I was talking about the effects, but if you think about it, is there a single SUNAVALON, Sunvine, or Sunseed monster that adds a Sunvine, or if it adds a Sunvine or a plant from deck to hand? No? Sowing special summons from deck? Twin targets your Genius Loci and summons it from the graveyard? Dryas searches a spell trap. So nothing, so there's just no way to add this card to the hand is what you're saying. No? Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha, just had to make sure. Just had to make sure that this is just completely unsearchable. Just had to make sure. Alright, Sunvine Shrine, continuous spell. Activate this card by sending one card from your hand to the graveyard while you control a SUNAVALON link monster. First off, awful condition, super strict, can't wait to get MST'd or Desiree'd, so that I just wasted one card. This card requires you to have committed to the field, and then by having a SUNAVALON link monster, if you have a SUNAVALON link monster and have this card in your hand, then you're already winning because that means your opponent has no interruption. Anyways, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except plant monsters. Great, restrictions as well. Love that. Most of the SUNAVALONs are sowing, and then this card has that effect where, oh, you can't summon from the extra deck except plants, which sucks, but you're playing a plant deck, I understand. Once per turn during your main phase, you can special summon one level 4 or lower plant normal monster from your graveyard. So, once per turn, every turn, you can recur your Genius Loci. It's crazy how it's a plant normal monster, by the way. Heaven forbid you summon any of the other Sunseed monsters. like Twin, or Maiden, or Shadow. Yes, I know this card could just target, like, I don't know, Lone Fire Blossom. But if I have to put a Dryas on the field, search this card just to summon Lone Fire Blossom, I've earned it. I've earned it. I have earned it so badly. Okay, anyways, once per turn during your opponent's end phase, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard, then target one continuous trap in your graveyard, set it to your spell and trap zone. So technically this is supposed to recur your SUNAVALON Bloom if you ever got rid of it on accident. But the thing is, it's your opponent's end phase. What is cool about it is that it just says any continuous trap card. You could do some stuff with it, but if you're playing this card, you probably can't because you're locked into plants, and then unless you're searching Skill Drain or Floodgate, then I don't really see this card getting much use. Alright, let's talk about the other Sunvine spell trap. Lovely. Sunvine Crossbreed. More like okay. Continuous spell card. You contribute one link monster, then target one other plant monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but its effects are negated. You can only use this effect once per turn. I guess they want you to tribute Dryas to summon Genius Loci, and then you make the second Dryas. But wait! Because you only have one Dryas. This card would have an application if you had more than one Dryas, I could see that. You somehow find a way to summon Genius Loci, Dryas, you go Dryas to search Crossbreed. You go Crossbreed to tribute the Dryas to summon the Genius Loci again. Then you basically, you make the second Dryas and then the Dryas goes sowing. Which is pretty cool. That's not bad, I guess. I don't know. Unfortunately, we have one Dryas, so that sucks. Okay, I think I talked over everything. I'm going to talk about the deck after I finish with the games, but I just like to note that I tried. I really did try. I don't want to complain too hard, but especially before I even showed any of the games. Hopefully you enjoyed me yapping up to this moment and you feel like playing this deck. If so, good luck, soldier. We're going to do a couple of replays because I honestly just couldn't even fathom playing this deck normally live. You probably would have heard me cursing to the high heavens because this deck makes me want to mauled and cry. I didn't talk about the other Sunvine. Oh man, okay. Sunvine Thrasher requires a plant normal monster, has the Sunvine text. If it's special summon, target one SUNAVALON Link monster on the field. This card gains attack equal to that monster's link rating times 800. Diabolical, that is insane. Guess what? When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your zone a link monster points to but negates effects. I love this card. I love this card so much. I just wish I could trigger my SUNAVALON effects better and have it synergize, kinda. Not Perform Mage, not Valmonica. Because you take damage, you summon this Thrasher. If you have SUNAVALON Drytron on field. No, dang it. If you have SUNAVALON Dryanome, because Dryanome can actually summon Sunvines from the extra deck. I hate Drytron. I hate SUNAVALON Drytron so much, man. Okay, then you can summon good old Thrasher. Thrasher targets a SUNAVALON Link monster, it points to or whatever. Gains link rating attack. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 with 2 zeros is 2400. Plus 8 is 3200. If Dryanome summons Thrasher, this guy's gonna have 3200 attack, which beats over pretty much almost everything. And then do not forget, please don't forget, if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it special summons that monster to a zone your link monster points to. There's gonna be a situation, imagine, I beat over Blue Eyes, I get to bring that Blue Eyes over here. It doesn't prevent it from attacking, it just negates the effects. I'm totally fine with that. So you get to steal your opponent's monster, you get a heavy beater. Don't even forget Melias. Don't forget Melias can make your monster attack multiple times. So if I have SUNAVALON Melias, Dryanome, summon Thrasher, somehow, and then this guy has 3200 attack, Melias can make it attack twice, I do so much damage. And don't forget, imagine if we have SUNAVALON Drytron plus a Thrasher. So, Thrasher target Drytron, gain 3200 plus its 800, 4000 attack. SUNAVALON Bloom, if my plant monster battles, gains attack equal. My Drytron is going to gain 4000 attack. Oh, and imagine a Melias. Do you see, that's what happens when your head starts turning and spinning and thinking this deck is good. Until you find out you're not going to be able to do that half the time because your deck can't even produce a combo. I need to stop complaining. Alright, we're about to hop into some replays. Hopefully you enjoy. Hang in there with me. Alright, how are we looking? Oh, that's a pretty decent hand. We got ourselves Primordial Tremors. It's basically unexpected die. A Talents, a Fiendsmith. Yes, we're playing Fiendsmith, but there's literally no way I couldn't play Fiendsmith. I tried so hard and I had to play Fiendsmith. There was no other. We have a Dominus Purge and a Mulcharmy Fulveros. What do you mean a deck that you've been claiming to be this bad has room for hand traps? Yeah, it's like the adventure engine is really cool. Adventure the deck does nothing. You understand now? Okay. Main phase. We start off with Primordial Tremors, paying 2,000. We just get Ash Blossom. I'm not. Alright. Oh, and the Chandelier. Okay, so we're playing Labyrinth. Discarding a card to set a Labyrinth spell trap. So they set themselves a big welcome Labyrinth. We got Ash Blossom on the Tremors, so we don't have access to our Genius Loci plays. We go triple tap these talents here. What are we choosing? Drawing 2, obviously. Perfect, we drew 1-1. We go 1-1 effect, pitching the Fulveros, summon the Genius Loci. We never left the field. We go Engraver now. Engraver to add Tract. Then we're going to go Tract here. Tract out a Light Fiend, discard Light Fiend. We discard that Fabled Lure because guess what? Fabled Lure, when discarded, summoned itself back from the graveyard. Time to do Fiendsmith combo because we need it. Alright, Fiendsmith Requiem using the Lure. Fiendsmith Requiem effect, tribute itself, summon a Lacrima Scarlet Sorrow. We're gonna go good old Fiendsmith here, attaching. Princess, Engraver, put back the Lure, summon itself. What are we gonna do here? Link? You know why I linked? Okay, I know I was getting like fumbling with my words here, but I forgot that this is what happened. Basically, this version of the deck I built before I changed it did not have Caesar in it. I didn't have Caesar in the deck. So I did the Necroquip combo, and I was looking at my extra deck for Caesar, and I was like, wait, where's the Caesar? Whoopsie, no Caesar. I took Caesar out because Dominus Purge would have stopped my Caesar from doing anything. But then I put it back in because Caesar is Caesar. Yeah. Okay, anyways, we made ourselves the good old sequence. We're gonna go sequence effect, target 3 to summon ourselves a Desiree. We shuffle them back. Oh, recursion, recycling. What are we summoning here? Fiendsmith Desiree. Pretty cool. It's a target negate. Oh, it's a target negate for 2 actually. We get to target that Desiree as well. We get to link off the Genius Loci for the Dryas. We have the target negate on field. We have the Dryas. Dryas use the Genius Loci so we can add ourselves a Sunbind spell trap. We add ourselves Sunbind Sowing effect. Special summon the Sunseed Twin, take 1000 damage. We go Sunseed Twin Chainlink 1, target Genius Loci, and then Dryas Chainlink 2 to gain the life points right on back and summon ourselves a Sunbind Healer. Sunseed Twin effect resolves, we get the Genius Loci back on the field, Sunbind Healer, target the Dryas here, gain 300. We link all 3 of the materials off for a good old Melias. We got Melias here, and basically Melias gets to bring back the Loci, and I guess it's important to note, I'm not going to say I could have done anything else, because I've messed up a couple lines, because you see how the arrows are on Melias? So, technically, Melias can summon a Genius Loci, but remember, if you're going first, I guess you can just go into SUNAVALON Drytron for the blanket negate, but please remember that if you summon Melias using the link monsters and it's not pointing, and it's not like right here where it is right now, and you use the Dryas instead and it's in the extra monster zone, you can't link summon the Sunseed Genius Loci because nothing is pointing downwards. So that is a blunder I made a couple times, so remember you do that correctly. Yeah, I kind of whiffed that a couple times. Anyways, we summon back the Genius Loci, link off the Dryas plus the Melias for the SUNAVALON Drytron trigger effect. Add ourselves SUNAVALON Boon for the Carpet Negate. We set the Carpet Negate. We set the Dominus Purge. It's like a trap card Ash Blossom. We have a target negate as well. It's their turn, standby main. They go big welcome. We're obviously going to Desiree that, like, obviously. Desiree, target the card to negate effects. No big welcome labyrinth for you. They have 3 cards in hand. We're looking pretty good. They go call by the grave, target the necroquip. That personally doesn't matter in my opinion, so we're doing pretty good here. 2 cards in hand. Oh, they set a card pass. Man, we're looking really good right now. We actually survived a turn. We open Sunseed Shadow. We have SUNAVALON Bloom here. They go, there can be only one, but they forget that we have John J. Desiree over here to target and negate the card. And they quit. So it actually worked. It actually worked. We have a combo. Yes, technically Desiree did all of the heavy lifting, but we ended on Drytron, SUNAVALON Drytron, a Sunseed Genius Loci. We had hand traps like Dominus Purge, SUNAVALON Bloom. Oh, a little blunder I did. So remember SUNAVALON Bloom, able to, whatever card it points to, it gains that attack. What I should have done was had SUNAVALON Drytron in the zone that's pointing towards Desiree, so that I could gain 2800 attack when I attack. So keep that in mind, that you want to have it pointing towards monsters so you can gain this attack. Alright, next up, let's see how we're looking here. Oh me, oh my, we open Lacrima Scarlet Sorrow. We got Primordial Imperial Load. I mean, the Lordly Load is looking pretty lordly. Oh, we got 2 Imperms and an Ash Blossom. How could this go wrong? Let's find out. Oh, we start first. Imperial Lordly Load gets to add a Primordial Spell Trap. We get ourselves Tremors. Tremors is basically Unexpected Die. Pay 2k and they quit. Okay. Alright, I gotta say it was pretty hard getting replays with me winning. So I'm gonna show one that I lose, I think. I can't remember. Anyways, let's start it off. We open Unexpected Die, the Lordly Load, Genius Loci, Imperm plus Thrust. Let's see what happens here. Do we get a game? Unexpected Die to some of the Genius Loci, aka nope, we get Ash instead. So we just ate an Ash Blossom, but don't worry, because guess what? We have a second access to Unexpected Die with the Imperial Lordly Load in hand, so let's go. We go Genius Loci here, Genius Loci, link it on off into the Dryas. Since we use Genius Loci, we get to go Dryas Effect, add a Sunvine Spell Trap, obviously it's going to be Sowing. We're going to go Sowing here, summoning the Sunseed Twin, taking 1000 damage. Then we're going to go Sunseed Twin Chainlink 1, target Genius, and Chainlink 2 for the Dryas to Special Summon. Get that life point right on back, Special Summon a Healer. And then we go Sunseed Twin over here, summon the Genius Loci. What we're going to do next? Sunseed Healer, gain to 300. Good old Melias. Combo's actually not that hard, because you're doing a whole lot of nothing. We go Melias, bring back the good old Loci here. Then what we're going to do is SUNAVALON Drytron, loving it. Drytron over here gets to add ourselves SUNAVALON Bloom. We get to go Primordial Imperial Load to add ourselves Imperial Primordial Dragon. Now, this is the cool synergy I found that you get to do. Since you already have an archetypal Unexpected Die for normal monsters, I mean basically with the Primordial engine, what you get to do is that since your Melias does just summon back Genius Loci, you can have your Imperial Dragon in your hand if you open the Lordly Load. Then on your opponent's turn, it has the effect to tribute summon. Yeah, Imperial Dragon can tribute summon on your opponent's turn. Then if it tribute summons, it can do these effects in sequence, which is negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls, and it can also banish monsters your opponent controls with the same type and or attribute as any normal monster in your graveyard. So if I can, since the Genius Loci is on field, I can easily tribute it. Lordly Load effect can just blanket negate my opponent's monsters, and then also if my opponent monster has any of the type or attribute as any of my normals in graveyard, they get banished. Unfortunately, we have Earth and Plant, which is quite uncommon in today's meta, so we're not going to be banishing anything, but I'm totally fine with the blanket negate. Alright, we have Primordial, we go Triple Tactics Thrust to add ourselves a Dominus Purge, we set to the field. We got an Imperm, we got the Bloom. I'm telling you, the board here is mainly hand traps. So let's imagine we didn't have hand traps. We would be ending on Bloom Pass. Bloom Pass is just a negate. So, I mean, yeah. But thankfully enough, we have an Imperm and a Purge to back it up, along with Imperial Dragon. We're gonna have a game. It's our opponent's turn. Let's see what they do. They go Draw Phase here. Standby. Main. Oh, they go Gear Suit. Okay, so I had a game with this opponent here, and they've played cards that I couldn't read because it was in a different language. And then also, those cards are busted, and I did not know when to interrupt them because they have 1,000 things they could be doing. This deck is surprisingly resilient and can play around everything. And we don't have enough interruption, but let's see what happens. They can normal summon Gearsu, Gearsu the Mech Knight, summon Token on both field. Oh, tokened. They go into good old, the Link 1, the new Link 1 by the way. The new Link 1 gets to add Orchestrated Babel, but they're not doing that effect yet because it can also summon itself back from the graveyard. They go SP Little Knight here to bait it out. They're going to go SP Little Knight effect targeting our Dominus Purge. We're going to let it go through. Now, I mean, what I thought about, right, when they SP Little Knight, because I was thinking, do I let the Gearsu go through? I already had like 4 games with them, and I knew that they could do anything if I give them too many interruptions, right? So what I decided was that I wanted to let the SP go through, because if we workshop this, right? On the summon of Gearsu would do nothing. They summon the SP. Lord Du Load is not fast enough to negate the SP. It would have been... They use the effect to go banish the... They would use the effect to banish the Purge. I could go Bloom. And with Bloom, they could chain the SP Little Knight, targeting my Dry Trinary. And then I'd have to chain Imperm. So it was either I lose the Imperm... It was either I lose the Dominus Purge, or I lose the Imperm plus the Bloom. And I didn't want that. Alright. They go Sharon, pitch a card, Sin 3. Sin 4, jeez. They go Battle Phase, and that's where it all went wrong. Them going Battle Phase screwed me because technically they were playing Orchest. Imperial Dragon could have tributed the token. Oh, it wouldn't have done anything. I forgot it's a token. It's not in graveyard, unfortunately. So I thought about tribute token, and then I thought the token would have counted, but it didn't count. So all I would have been doing if I went Imperial Load was just negate card effects, but I already have Bloom that does that and an Imperm. So if I wasted that, they would have just went SP Little Knight on Dry Trinary and I had to do an Imperm. So it's either I lose these 2 cards here, or I lose the Imperm and the Blank and Negate. They attack, we lose the Genius Loci, we lose the token. They link off the SP Little Knight, go into Closed Moon of the Heaven. Yes, they have Fiendsmith Engine and it hurts. Alright, Requiem over here. Requiem effect, tribute itself. Summon the Lacrima Scarlet Sorrow. I wanted to hold the negate. So, my logic was that I wanted to hold the negate for Sequence, because Sequence can summon Lacrima. But then again, I thought about it, and if they go Lacrima to pitch Fiendsmith, they can go Fiendsmith effect to shuffle back the Closed Moon, summon itself. Then they could have went Fiendsmith Requiem to equip itself to the Fiendsmith, then use the Fiendsmith Monster's effect, sending the equip spell to the graveyard to target one of my cards and send to the graveyard, and that would have completely ruined me. And then after that, they would have had 2 Fiendsmiths, go into Sequence, still can continue combo. So I felt like Imperming the Lacrima was the right play here, but I don't know. We had to Imperm Lacrima, I believed. So we Imperm the Lacrima. That means no Fiendsmith line for them just yet. But the issue was that they can now go Galatea, banish the Gearsu, summon itself back. They were waiting for us, man. Because remember, they were playing Orcus here. Galatea, pitch a card, add the World Legacy. They link it off. They go into Sequence after, and I'm like, oh, I gotta do something about it. They summon the World Legacy World Crown as a monster negate. We have to go Bloom to stop the Sequence, because if not, they go Desiree. And we don't want that. I'm just like, man, this is... He went through all of my interruption, and then guess what he has in graveyard? This man has... He has... Wait, let me find it. This man has Harpor in graveyard. So he ate through all the interruption and still had stuff to do, and I'm just like, ah. We have to go SUNAVALON Bloom here. At least we can get our... At least we get a turn because their battle phase is going. They get to go Orcus Harpor, summon the Gearsu, and then we just lose because, yeah, Gearsu pitch, they didn't even do that effect yet. They go Nightmare, and it's all she wrote. We have no interruption. We're just going to watch them combo. Here's the Automaton. There's the Long. There's our Dry Gnome gone. Okay, goes without showing we got cooked. That's all I'm going to say, we got cooked. I don't even have to show the rest of this. So now that you understand this deck isn't invincible, let me show you. What are we going to do now? We open ourselves a Fabled Luri, the Sunvine Shrine, Sunvine Sowing, Imperm, and Unexpected Die pretty much. Let's see what we do. Oh, it's not our turn. We're fighting against Fiendsmith. They discard, go Sanct, Sanct to summon a token. Token is live. They go Token, go Requiem. You already know what they're going to do. They're going to go Requiem, tribute it. What they're going to summon this time around. They summon Sacred Sorrow. And I forgot it's this guy again. Oi. Oi. They use the effect. They pitch the Ash Blossom. They add Babel. Personally, I don't even know what's scary anymore. They go Original Sinful Spoils. They go Ash. I'm like, what are you playing? Stop it, please. I cut him off of the Snake Eyes engine using the Imperm, but this dude's playing everything, and I'm playing nothing at this point. He has too much gas, and I didn't open Fuvaros again. There's the sequence. I just like to note, I literally never open Fuvaros against any of my opponents, pretty much. There's the Lacrima, the Desiree I mean, sorry. There's your Desiree. There's the Orcus Harpor, banished to summon an Orcus from deck. They go Gearsey, let's just watch him play. They go into OKO Bow. Basically, it's a fetish to discard a card to either pop any card non-targeting or to summon a light or dark monster from your graveyard at quick effect speed. Okay. They in turn. Okay, so all we have to fight is a pop or summon of... What would they summon here? Nothing, really. So all we have to do is fight a pop... an Omni Negate. Well, they don't have an Omni Negate yet, and a targeting negate. So let's find out, what does this deck do going against people going second style? Sunsea Genius Loci in hand, they use that, special summon, and now they have an Orcus Live for the Omni. So it's an Omni, a targeting, and a pop. Main phase 1. We go good old Unexpected Die. They Desiree the Unexpected Die. I'm feeling good because we have the Genius Loci in hand. Kinda wanted to go through, but I didn't really know what to do. This card requires a SUNAVALON in hand. We go Sowing to summon the Genius Loci. He knows that we're screwed right now. They go Bow, discard to pop a card. They pop the Genius Loci. We normal summon the Genius Loci. We go into Dryas. We're looking hot right now. Unfortunately, we burned our normal summon. We can go Sunvine Shrine, pitching the Luri. And then they go Crescendo, and we just couldn't. I'm telling you, Sunvine Shrine is so mid. Now, I'll let it go through, but I just want you to know I'm pretty much dead either way. So, before I surrender, I just want to note, they summon Gearsu, Dryas goes bye-bye, that's game. So, I don't even have to, like, stay like, but Nost, if I take damage, I get to summon a Sunvine no, I'm dead. So as you can see, this deck has been nothing but an uphill battle for me. And you know what's even worse is opening the one card you don't want to open because it can only be summoned from the deck. So your options are to burn your normal summon on this card. And that's it. That's your only option. If you want to get this card's effect, you just burn your normal summon. Alright, let's see what happens. Standby. Main. Oh, it's not our turn. Card destruction. We're ashing it because I think this hand is good enough. This hand's still good enough, so I decided to ash the card destruction. I don't know what they're playing Foolishness here. They go Lilith, Lady of Lament, they tribute, reveal 3. They reveal Chain Material, Chain Material, Chain Material, they're doing shenanigans. I'm thinking either Tierra, Cyber Dragon, or something goofy with Last Warrior, I don't even know. Draw phase, standby main, we open the Fiendsmith Engraver, which is amazing. But unfortunately, they go Chain Material effect, I know they got something devious going on. Then they go Super Polymerization, discarding an Infernoid, and then you find out, oh, this is what they're doing. Absolute degeneracy, 10 materials are in the graveyard. Tierra, when made with 10 materials, gets this effect, these effects. 3 or more. Each player sends 3 cards from their extra deck to the graveyard. 5 or more. Each player sends the top 3 cards of their deck to the graveyard, 8 or more. Each player returns up to 3 of their banished cards to the graveyard, 10 or more. Each player sends their entire hand to the graveyard. I did misplay. I'm gonna be honest, I did misplay with this, but let's find out what happens. So this effect triggers. We go Tremors to at least summon a Genius Loci since we're losing our whole hand. They go Trap Trick, and I'm like, oh no, it just gets worse. It just gets worse. They get Necrofusion, oh no. We summon the Genius Loci so we can at least continue our plays. Now, I sent Desiree, Bangalancer, and Dryades. What I should have sent was another Light Fiend, because if my hand's going to the graveyard, right? Desiree, if it's into the graveyard, can shuffle a Light Fiend, and then in doing so, is able to target a card and send to the graveyard. Engraver can shuffle a Light Fiend to summon itself. So what I should have sent instead of those cards, I should have sent the Desiree along with the Requiem. So that the Desiree can shuffle the Requiem to send a card, and then the Engraver can shuffle the Requiem to summon itself. But I messed up, it's fine. Okay, I just want to note that I misplayed on the send here. They send Herald of Arclight. They're trying to Dragon Master Magia Cyber End Dragon shenanigans. I don't know. We lose 3 cards and our hand, and we go Desiree. We shuffle back the Fiendsmith because we whiffed. We try to bait out the Necrofusion. They go Arclight here because we are not trying to mess anything up here. Necrofusion. They have to banish their whole thing. They go into the second Tiara. I see what they were trying to do. They were trying to Magia us. Oh, yeah, they had the BLS. They were trying to Dragon Master Magia, but by targeting it, we protected ourselves. We got Loci. Let's see what Loci can do. We got Dryas on field. Dryas was made with the Loci, so we get to add ourselves a Sunvine Sowing. Unfortunately, the twin was in our hand, so we kind of screwed ourselves. So instead, we go Sunseed Shadow. We take 2. Then we go Dryas Effect. We get the 1000. We go Sunvine Healer. Targeting, and they quit. So, my opponent obviously did not know that I messed up, because in Sowing, you never summon Shadow, you summon Twin. I had no play after this, because the most that I would have been able to do was summon Melias, and then Melias can summon back the Loci, but due to Link arrows, I wouldn't have been able to summon the big guy. I guess I could have summoned the Link 3, took damage, and then summoned Thrasher. Oh, I could have done that, yeah. I was so busy on SUNAVALON Drytron over here. Alright, this should be the last game. Let's find out what happens. We open gold. I mean, straight gold. This is just straight golds. Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? 1 for 1. If it gets Ash, we're kind of screwed, but we open gold. Let's find out what happens. Standby, main, we go Engraver, let's bait that hand trap. We didn't. We got ourselves tracked. We're gonna go tracked, we're gonna add the Lacrima, we're gonna pitch the Lurie, obviously. Lurie, since it's got discard, he gets to summon itself. We get to link that bad boy off into a good old Fiendsmith Requiem. We're gonna go Fiendsmith Requiem effect, tributing itself, summoning a Lacrima. We can't use his effect because we have the other card. We only have 1 Engraver in the OCG. Then we go into good old Necroquip by using the Requiem plus that. We go Engraver, shuffle the Uffle you. We go Engraver, summon it back. Now, technically, Necroclip would trigger to draw a card if I send 1 for 1. If I use 1 for 1 sending Lacrima. Unfortunately, you don't see it, but during the game my opponent's auto thing kept appearing after my 5th summon. So my opponent did have a Nibiru. So I went straight into the thing because I couldn't risk it. We got High King Caesar for the insulation. Then we can go and do Genius Loci stuff. We pitch the Lacrima for the Genius Loci. We link off the Genius Loci for the good old Dryas. Then we go Dryas for the good old Sunvine Sowing. Sunvine Sowing. Summon the twin, take 1000. Then we go Sunvine Twin, Chainlink 1, target Genius SUNAVALON Dryas Chainlink 2, summon from extra deck and gain the life points. We gain the 1000, we summon the healer. Then we summon back the Genius Loci. Then we go healer, target the Dryas, gain the 300, go into Melias. Melias over here gets to summon back the Genius Loci. Then we can link both of these monsters off. into the good old SUNAVALON Drytron. I made sure to put it in the same, have the zones pointing towards the Wave Hiking Caesar and the Genius Loci. We get to search ourselves a good old SUNAVALON Bloom. We set, they go Nibiru. We chain Wave Hiking Caesar. That was perfect because guess what? Lacrima Sorrow on my opponent's turn can summon it back. So we're looking hot right now. We negated the Caesar and we whiffed. How do we whiff, Nost? Brother, did my opponent just activate a monster effect? Why didn't you use the thrust? Why didn't you use the thrust? That could have been an extra Imperm or Dominus Purge, my friend. Why didn't I thrust here? Why didn't I thrust? Anyways, this should be enough. We got a Wave Hiking Caesar with 1 negate. We got an Imperm, and we have a good old Blanket negate. Let's see what happens. Turn change. Draw phase. Standby. Main. There you go, Snake Eye Ash. We're obviously going to Imperm the Ash because screw Snake Eyes, man. They burned a normal summon. Feeling good right now. Let's see what happens next. They go Sinful Spoil's Deception. Attribute a monster. They tribute the Nibiru to add themselves a Sacred Azamina. They go Sacred Azamina effect. Remember, it can summon the Omni Negate Fusion or even worse, any other thing. We obviously got a Wave Hiking Caesar negate that bad boy. We do not want to see that card activate at all. We negate and destroy. They got 2 cards in hand and burned a normal summon. I think we're looking pretty good. They go Link Karibo. I think they're going to pass here. They pass. We survive. We can go Lacrima Sorrow, whatever it's called. We have Requiem back in the field. We draw the evenly match. Now, here's what we can do. We can go Requiem effect, Requiem tribute. They go Maxi, and I'm like, huh, that's not good. I was going to do a little bit more extending. So we summon the Lacrima. We don't want them to draw into another Nibiru. We go Thrust for Talons here. Now, we do the risky play. We Link Summon. We go ourselves in a sequence because we have the Lacrima on field. They draw 1 more card. We go Talons to look at the hand because we want to make sure that we don't get screwed here. We don't have a negate live. They have Fuvaros, Ophielets, plus Tales of the White Forest. We shuffle back one of the Ophielets. We go Fiendsmith sequence, target 3, shuffle all 3 back, and go into the good old Desiree. Desiree, guess what? It's in the same zone. They draw 1 more card. I think we're looking Gucci. We go Drytron effect, tributing sequence to target 2 cards, pop them. Then we can go Requiem plus sequence, and then we activate the continuous spell. We attack with the Desiree, take 34. We attack with the High King Caesar. Then you know what we do? SUNAVALON Bloom, because a plant monster battled, it can gain attack equal to the monsters it points to. 6,200 attack for the Drytron to end it off. That's what you like to see. I was really happy about that game. That was really good. And with all that out of the way, it's time I talk about this deck. Brother, where do I start? So first things first. The normal Genius Loci combo ends at Dryas. So the goal of normal Genius Loci is that you have a 1-card combo that can basically make Aromatherapy Jasmine, and Jasmine can grant you any plant you want. And that's your combo. It just puts a lot of link material on the field. Doing this, however, is definitely different. It's different. Ending on objectively worse cards is objectively worse. The thing is, as a 1-card combo deck, you're able to run a lot of non-engine. But then the ceiling is so low that it requires you to have a backup game plan. My first idea was to run Adventure Engine, mainly because the Adventure Engine specializes with an equip card, Starlit Papillion or whatever, and then when you have the field spell, it makes the card that is equipped with that card unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. So my Drychione would have basically been unaffected by my opponent's activated effects, and can't be targeted, can't be destroyed, and then along with the Bloom it's just towers, right? But unfortunately that didn't work out. So instead I thought, why don't I do Fiendsmith? Fiendsmith can insulate you from Nibiru and other stuff that may hurt you. Technically that's really useful because alone this deck doesn't do enough. I decided to run the Primordial Engine because Primordial Tremors is another copy of Unexpected Die. Also, Lordly Imperial Load. When Melius summons back the Genius Loci, your Imperial Dragon can just summon itself if you have the load on there. Also, it doesn't interfere too heavily. The good thing about the restrictions in this deck is that you're locked out of the extra deck for plant monsters, but you're not locked in the main deck. So then I said, hey, I can just play Fiendsmith. And then I chose Fiendsmith because it's perfect. So here's a reason why. Here's like 3 reasons why. Reason number 1, 1 for 1. 1 for 1, summon Fabled Lurie Fiendsmith combo. Reason number 2, you can end on Deza Ire, or you can end on Wave Hiking Caesar. But the difference is that both of those do not use up your EMZ. Deza Ire doesn't use up your EMZ because your sequence can just target it and then remove itself. Summoning Wave Hiking Caesar doesn't use up your EMZ, which is perfect. The third thing is also that you can just summon Loci first with your Unexpected Die or your Lordly Load, then you can go Fiendsmith combo. There's even a fourth thing. It baits out interruption and hand traps. Your opponent does not want to see you resolve Fiendsmith combo, because if they do, they're more than likely going to pay for it in the long run. If you see me activate Engraver, you're going to want to Ash it because you would assume that I won't have the Tractus in hand. And then if I activate Tractus, you're going to want to Ash it, and then I just bait more interruption, which is perfect. Now, here's a couple things about this deck that I do like. What I do like is that I guess it's low to the ground, it's easy to play. You're doing only one combo pretty much. You're relegated to just one combo. Also, it's kind of simple. This is a 1-card combo I asked for, super simple. You don't really have that much to worry about. You can run a lot of hand traps and act pretty ignorant. Your opponent pretty much stops after getting Imperm for the 3rd time. Like, non-engine wise, you're running a lot. Triple Imperm, triple Ash, triple Fuvaros. You have time for a Talents and a Thrust. You have an evenly match, a Called By. That's pretty decent for this type of deck. For one of these decks, it's pretty decent. Now, also, this deck could do a lot of damage. If I am going second, and Sunbind Sowing has resolved in my Fiendsmith combo and everything, I could take a little bit of damage, right? After that, summon Thrasher and get a lot of attack. And that should wrap him up. And then after that, I could even go into SUNAVALON Drytron, get the trap card. The trap card gains even more attack, and then also is a blanket negate. This deck sets up interruption. Well, without the Fiendsmith, it does nothing though. Without the Fiendsmith, my inboard would be SUNAVALON Drytron plus Bloom, and Bloom's just a negate field. So Fiendsmith really helps there. And you'd be like, but no, so why don't you run the other negate? And then to answer that, I'd say because I can't search it. I literally cannot search that card. All in all, my opinion's not too bad on this deck. If you feel like playing a gimmick, feel free. You're just playing a worse plant deck. This feels less like vegetable soup than the other deck though. Compared to Rika, I like this deck in its originality. It has a game plan and it has an obviously really interesting gimmick. It seems like a real fan favorite deck if you like 0 attack monsters that can pull off broken effects like summoning from the extra deck is broken, what do you mean? And stuff like that. But other than that, I'm pretty cool with it. I don't have many comments on it. You can run a lot of hand traps, you can play Fiendsmith in it. There's a lot of different builds you could do. If you can try to make this work, feel free. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. I didn't have fun building or playing this deck, but it wasn't bad, I guess. Those are the games I won. For every game I won, I lost about 10 games. I lost like 10 games for every one game I won. Even the replay, I lost some games. So, yeah. This deck has issues. This deck has major issues. Anyways, if you enjoyed it, let me know. Hopefully I can see you for the next video. It's been Nost. Bye-bye.